chances, dreams and goals. Many mixed emotions in my heart and soul. For some I made a plan and did the best I can. If God wills, things can happen. After all, I'm just a man. Choices, chances, dreams and goals. Many mixed emotions in my heart and soul. For some I made a plan and did the best I can. If God wills, things can happen. After all, I'm just a man.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Life Choices, this week's episode on Huda TV. Last week we brought you something on time management, and we said that time management is a set of tools, skills and principles used to best utilize your time. Inshallah, this week, this episode, we're going to focus more on those tools for time management. Brother Zakir, if you had an exam coming up, what is the best way you would, what tools would you use for time management?
When I was in university, I used to have a few strategies when it came to studying. Sometimes I would have exams on the same day, so I would try to focus on the exam that I needed more preparation on, something which was a little bit more difficult, that required more time and effort. So I would focus on that.
So you'd focus on the subjects that you weren't good in?
Yeah, that I needed more revision and more practice on.
So like if you got 3 frogs, you want to eat. You don't want to eat the small one first.
You start with the.
I don't think he will eat frogs.
Yeah,
it's a metaphor.
3 chickens.
And the second way, like for example, I used to have exams on the same day, like 2-3 exams on the same day. So I would try to focus on the one that I would have in the beginning, obviously, because if you study for the one at the end and then you kind of study for the that one first, it doesn't make sense, because you're going to go and then the test you're going to take in the beginning, you didn't prepare for it, it's not fresh in your mind.
Yeah.
So how are you going to do well? So that's my personal take on how I used to study for exam. Also, I would reward myself after like 2 hours or 3 hours of studying. I would just take a short break, go outside, take a walk, relax, maybe call my friends. Yeah, even on a school night, I would do that.
Exactly the same I used to do, actually.
Would you treat yourself, like to a snack even?
Absolutely, and you need to, because your brain needs to function. So this is something which is also recommended, to keep snacks with you, such as nuts and peanuts and cashews and these kind of things, which are really healthy for your brain and energizes your brain muscles. Because once you're studying, you really exercise a lot of your brain cells.
I used to do this actually.
And sometimes we find that we're not as productive. For example, we're studying for 2 hours, but we look back and we're like, man, I'm still not even halfway through the material. It doesn't make sense. I've been sitting down for so long. I was supposed to finish the whole thing.
But so we're eating,
Oh, it's important if we, well, that's not good either, but you need to have something light with you to keep you going, maybe a glass of water to
That's something healthy.
Something healthy, no doubt. So this is something which I personally used to do, and alhamdulillah I found it to be really successful, and I know many people who still do the same method when it comes to studying, and they're mashallah seeing good results.
And we must give the price after the effort. Because I used to give myself the prize before the effort. So I used not to do anything. It's taking effort.
Yeah, that defeats the purpose. You need to have a motivator. Okay, let me just push myself right now, and then when the time for test comes, I take the exam, and inshallah, hopefully I'll get a good result. I'll get a good grade. Maybe I worked hard, so I'll get an A on this paper, and at the same time I'll be able to go out and treat myself. So you have both positives to
a
that.
Balance,
a nice balance to it.
And actually, when you do it like this, it gives you a meaning or a value for your break, for this price. Because if you are going out every day, it's meaningless. After a while, repeating the same price or doing the same thing, it will lose its meaning as a value. For example, if you have a child who doesn't care about his studying, and you let him to go out every day, when you come to tell him, if you did so, I will take you out, it's meaningless. Take me out of what? I don't care.
Right, so you're saying if the reward is something that's customary. So every day. So if the kid goes out to the park every day,
Exactly, it will
so
lose.
you can't reward him with that because that's part of his routine.
And the same is the punishment. If you are punishing every day, after a while, the punishment will lose its value as well.
Sure.
Yeah, if you, for example, if you used to prevent something from him, after a while he will get used to not to use it. So when you tell him, I will not give you your computer. Okay, you prevented it month ago. I forgot what is computer.
Right. So you should have variety of rewards, variety of punishments, if you want to say.
Exactly.
That way, the value still remains, and at the same time, you're able to continue on with your work.
Yeah, especially with young ages, because young ages that we need to know that people a lot depend on young ages on reward and punishment, while the theory must happen occasionally, not always. It cannot be the main theory. Why? Because in that way, if you use to give a reward for every single thing, you will grow up a person who cares about himself only. He does anything only for the reward, so you prevent him the value. And on the other hand, if you use to give him punishment, he will do things out of fear, so you are growing up a coward.
Right.
If you are doing this only.
Right.
So it must be a strategy that you use it between a lot of strategies. Do it sometime, doing
Yeah.
this at that sometime. Not everything the same thing.
And going back to your idea of he's just thinking of himself, I think we can like sort of relate this to working in a team. Also managing your time, it's helpful to, not do everything by yourself. If you can assign something to someone else, or someone else is a part of your team and maybe they want to help you out, or
Delegate.
maybe they want to work on something in that project, go ahead and let them do it. Don't feel you have to do everything by yourself.
Yeah.
That's one of the techniques of time management. Sometimes we feel like I have all of these tasks to complete. How am I going to do it all by myself? The thing is, managing your time is not really doing it all yourself. And this you can, I'm sure, relate to in the business field.
Yeah.
It's about delegating. This is what a real efficient leader
Even the
does.
Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him,
No.
did he do everything by himself, or he had a,
He had a
No.
group of companions who supported him and his mission all throughout his life. And he delegated people according to their potential and their skills.
Yes.
And subhanAllah, this is something which we can apply till this very day.
Very,
Right.
very interesting points that he's all bringing up, mashallah. Let's have a look at this interesting video clip, inshallah.
Okay.
الصلاة خير من النوم الصلاة خير من النوم الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
SubhanAllah, what a emotional video, huh?
Yeah, I feel like
SubhanAllah, this
I was
is
going to cry actually.
this is kind of the reality of what we see on a daily basis. You find young people hitting the gym, working out. MashaAllah, that's really, really good. But when it's time for Fajr, they can't lift themselves up. They can lift 100 pounds, no problem, but they can't lift their blanket, which is like a couple of ounces. So this is something really concerning for our ummah. Really, when it comes to balancing our life, our health life, exercising with Fajr. You see this young guy, working out, doing what he has to do, but as-salatu khayrun min an-nawm, as the mu'adhin says, that salah is better than sleep. Salah is khayr. It's much better than your comfortable bed. So
Okay.
get up and stand before your Lord. And he looks out the window and he sees the old man with the cane,
Barely able to walk.
barely able
walking
to walk,
the
and then
mosque.
goes to the masjid.
Yeah.
Imagine how much guilt he felt, and this is why he quickly ran, as we saw. So sometimes we have to really,
Yeah.
see these things.
I think it's a very good point they brought up in that video, and I think sometimes it's good to look at people who might not have the same blessing as us. That old man didn't have the strength
Right.
and the youth
Right.
that character did. So sometimes when we see people who are in a lesser status, like not able to do what we are, that's it's a motivating factor. You know what I mean? So in this case, he saw that the old man on a walking stick, eventually crawling to the masjid, that motivated him. Like he probably thought to himself, "Subhanallah, look at the blessings
Right.
Allah's placed on me, and I can't even get up for Fajr, but I can work out."
I'm not taking advantage of
Yeah.
it. And this reminds me of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, sees 5 things before 5. And one of these 5 things mentioned is, take advantage of your youth, of the strength and energy that you have in your young life before you become old and weak. And you can ask any elderly person, do they wish that they can ever go back to being young again? They will all say yes. Why? So that they can worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have the strength, we have the ability, we have the mind, the mindset, the potential, the skills. We have all of these things really to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when we're young.
Yeah.
So we should really take advantage of it.
Yeah, and it's mainly about. Actually, the video was very hard.
SubhanAllah, it really was touching.
Yeah, it's not about ages. It's about. That's why we used to say in human development, it's not about the power of your body. It's not about your age. It's about. I don't like to be like this, but it's about the power you have inside yourself. Because you can see a lot of people who you think that they are handicapped, that they are.
Right.
They don't have the ability
Disabled.
to do. Yeah,
Disabled.
they are disabled to do a lot of things. While when you focus, you can see that those people have the power to do a lot of things that we people who think that we are good and we have good health, we cannot do. Look for everyone. Look for what happened from all the people who achieved a unique things. Most of them was a handicap. He has a problem. Most of the genius people was people who have been attacked by another.
There's a saying, you don't know what you got till it's gone.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you'll find a lot of people when they lose a limb, or they lose the loss of a limb, or they're in sickness. They say, "Oh, if only I had my health. If only I could walk again." You know what I mean?
Yeah, and many of these people, they wish they can go back in time, and by that time it's too late, because young life will never come again. And this is why, subhanAllah, we find in the Quran and Ahadith, especially in the Ahadith, we find many virtues for people who worshipped Allah when they were young. And we know the 7 types of people that will be shaded on the Day of Judgment under the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's throne is a group of people, one of the 7 categories is young people who grew up in the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This age is just so valuable, so beautiful. This is the age where people work hard to succeed when they're older, right? You're studying so hard throughout the period of youthhood, so that you can get a good job, so that you can raise a family, so that you can work, so that you can retire and relax and just have a decent life. So it's all about the prime of the youth, what you really sow during this phase of your life.
Yeah, and that's why we always focus on start early, start working on yourself early, start to take a step in your life early. If you got used to manage your time, for example, upon what we are saying, it will be easy for you when you grow old to do the same thing. When you have your self-discipline, when you have positive attitude, when you have your self-development path and career, you will be able to be that bright star in your career life and to be valued in your society. So this is how you can reflect the benefit of every skill you learn, and that's why we did the whole program here.
Right.
It's for you to start now. This is not for the old people only. Old people will get used of the skill to get what they lost on time. But we are talking now for the people who still have everything clear. They
Sure.
still have all the time in their life.
SubhanAllah, just before recording, I was reading a post on Facebook, a beautiful quotation. It said that you could never go back in time and start over. Yani you can't start a new beginning.
Yeah.
But you can start right now and create a new ending.
Exactly.
It's, it's never too late to be what you might have been. And like a lot of scientists nowadays are finding out, they're doing the research, is that the first 7 years of an infant's life is the most important. So
Yeah.
I think that's very important for even the parents to be good role models in the house, even what these kids are seeing, what's
Well, the
coming
main
through their
concepts and
receptors.
values built on this
Yeah.
age.
Even though they're not
age of
praying
7.
yet, it's still coming from the parents,
Yeah.
what they're seeing.
I got a lot of questions asking about why our children, they are not reading. So the first question for me is, tell me the time of you reading. He said, no, I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about them. I'm talking about you, because you are the main.
Sure. Children inherit the traits and the behavior of their parents, and parents are required to be great models to them, because parents are the first human beings that children see
Yeah, and trust.
and trust.
This is the most, they called it the trusted persons for
Right.
you.
Right.
Because your main trusted person are your parents, then your small family, then your small friends, and then, you know, the friends
Society
of
and all.
yeah, the small
So
society.
SubhanAllah, let's not place too much expectation on our children if we're not providing that good and positive example. Inshallah, we'll have more for you right after this short break.
On the road to Medina, our beloved Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and his companions faced lots of troubles and difficulties and enmities and obstacles in the way to Medina before the hijrah to Medina from Mecca. Also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has assisted his beloved Prophet and supported him in order to complete his mission and to immigrate to Medina. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted us this great Prophet and his companions. Now the question, why the immigration to Medina, the hijrah of Rasulullah and his companions, was a turning point in the history of hijrah and the history of Islam. My dear brothers and sisters, what are the sacrifices that the Prophet Muhammad has faced with his companions? Some of these difficulties, inshallah, we will learn together, and we will focus in some lessons. What are the lessons that we take from these incidents, inshallah, in our program, Road to Medina? My dear brothers, stay tuned with us, inshallah, in this great event of Hijrah. We will, inshallah, focus on some of the lessons in this program, Road to Medina. May Allah make it easy for us and accept our good deeds and gather us with our beloved Prophet Muhammad ﷺ in Jannah. Ameen.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Life Choices. Just before the break, we were talking about parents and role models, being role models to their children. We shouldn't expect our children, so much of them, when we haven't provided that good example. So it's very important to start now, in your child's life, for them, inshallah, to have a good growing up.
Exactly.
Yeah. And to make sure that they're growing up knowing how to manage their time well. They're sticking to the schedule and to the prayer times. This is important to really make them good managers of their time, because ultimately that's what will make them successful in life.
And the easiest way to do so is you have to start with yourself, not you have to start with your child. Because don't take the easy way, and let's face our audience with a truth. You are always escaping from responsibility by putting your responsibility on your child. And I face this a lot. I have a lot of proofs.
It's not even just parents and their children. I mean, this could be teachers and their students.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, brothers, older brothers to the younger brothers.
Yeah.
You know, again, all of us, we're all role models at some, you know.
It reminds me of
in
the
someone's
hadith.
life.
The Prophet ﷺ said, all of you are shepherds, and all of you are responsible for your flock. You're responsible in some way or another. A father is responsible for his children and wife and family. A teacher is responsible for his or her students. If you're, you know, a store owner, you're responsible for your workers.
For workers, yeah.
So everyone is responsible in some way or another. If you're a farmer, you're responsible for the land. So we will be asked about how we did our job and how we spent our responsibilities, how well we fulfilled these responsibilities, and how efficiently we managed our time. And time is life. Time is life. So if we are wasting time, we are wasting our life.
So don't fake people with fake yourself by putting this responsibility of time, of job, of whatever, on others. Don't say that my child will, he is not doing effort to learn. Yeah, I am with you that he didn't do effort. Do effort, but he must have you as a role model because you are the one who asked him to do so. If you are a manager, don't tell your co-workers, I used to do to work for 19 hours, and they never saw you doing
Okay,
it.
yeah, show me. Show me you worked for 19 hours.
Yeah, I felt it came out of your heart. You saw a lot of managers like this. I feel like
Yeah, a little bit, you know, talking the talk, but they won't walk the walk, you know what I mean?
This is hypocrisy, having a two-faced attitude and presentation. It's very important for us to implement what we say, practice what we preach. We find in the Quran, Allah says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu lima taquluna ma la taf'alun. Believers, why do you say that which you do not do?
Exactly.
Surely this is the most hated to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Exactly.
So it's critical for us to implement these principles in our lives first, so that when society sees us, they can look at us as a positive example and benefit from us.
Sure.
And this is what we are supposed to do as Muslims.
And that's what we want to do also in that program. We are giving you the solution as an old person responsible for others, how you work on yourself, and how you cannot, how you don't let those young generation to fail in the same exam, you know, or to face the same problem.
Right.
Okay, if we have the same that we talked about in the last episodes, get the preventive action better than the corrective action. Take something that prevent the problem better than leave the problem until it happens, then you work to solve it. And one of the things, as long as we are talking about time management, I think that is a very important rule for all people who already, they see that they don't manage their time. It will help them a lot to get better production.
Right.
Something called Pareto law. Pareto law is pure business. Pareto is a doctor in economics. He talked about rule, but it's very important concept in life and in business, in everything, called 80-20 rule.
What?
80-20 rule.
Some people say it's 90-10.
Yeah. So we don't care about the number itself. We
Right.
care about the rule that what he did is, as an economic economist, he was working on a research that said, or we can say that he found that 80% of the wealth or of the economy of his country is only for 20% of the people, of the citizens. And you can see this everywhere.
Well, now it's 0.01 or something like that.
Yeah.
They control the most of the
Yeah,
wealth.
now, yes.
The unbalance in distribution of wealth and resources.
Yeah,
It's a big
but
issue.
actually it was more than this. Not only about unbalancing. It's always like this in everything. You will find that if we put this rule, and that's what the scientists tried to do, they started to take this rule and implement it on more than one section. So they went to production. They found that in business, 80% of the production done by only 20% of the employees. And 20%, this means that 20% of the production done by 80% of the employees.
So that comes back to, you know, delegating tasks to people, make sure we get everyone involved in
you have to
in doing
see,
things.
and before this, you have to work on the 20% that you have, because it's easy to know where's your problem. That's why somehow in quality they started to use Pareto law to identify the problem. That if 80% done by 20 employees, so I got from this, I have to care about that 20.
Okay, but how can we benefit from this in our own personal
management.
time
Yeah.
management?
We tried to implement this on time management, and I was one of the people who done this research, by the way.
Okay.
We found that 80% of the production of your time done only in 20% of your working hours. Focus, revise your
So
day.
yeah, say that again.
Yeah.
Of course.
20%. For example,
Some people
I
have
work
certain
for-
periods where they're
Yeah,
better, and
let's
this is where they
assume-
get the most work done.
exactly. Let's
Right.
assume the day.
Mm.
We say when you get up,
That's the best time for work.
A morning
Most
person or a night
productive.
person.
Yeah.
you will find,
Right.
for example, the morning person, you will find if he can get up early at Fajr and he doesn't need to sleep again, he will get his production time, it will be around 10, 11, all that time.
Yep.
You'll find him, he's,
That's the peak.
Peak,
the peak
yes.
of his
The peak time.
productivity.
after that he will find that the flow after this peak for 1 hour or 2 hours is going down,
Right.
till 4 or 3, something like this. After that he will start to go up again. Then he will go down. Then he will come up again at night. But every time it will be less than the peak time before. It will be lesser, not like the first
so
peak.
if every individual needs to see where his or her peak time is
Yes.
and try to maximize on that time.
The important work, the
Exactly.
urgent, the hard work.
This leads to the topic of prioritizing. A big issue that we face when it comes to managing our time is what to do first. We have all of these things
Yeah.
on our to-do list. Where do we begin?
This comes back to the 3 frogs. You don't want to eat the small one first.
Yeah.
And I have a really nice have a really nice story to kind of connect with this issue of prioritizing.
Yeah,
And it's a
please.
very well-known story. A professor, a philosophy professor, was in front of the class and he wanted to do an experiment to show them. So he took out a jar, empty jar, and he told the class, after putting in huge stones, he filled the jar up to the
Yeah.
top with stones. And then he asked the class, is it full? Is the jar full? So they all said, yeah, it's full. He said, okay, if that's what you say. So then he took out some pebbles, and he put in pebbles and he shook it until they filled the empty areas. So then he asked them, is the jar full now? They all said, yes, all together. Yeah, it's full. He's like, okay. So he took out some sand and he put in sand, and the sand filled in the empty areas between the pebbles and the rocks. So he said, is it full now? They said, yes, it's full now. So he said, what do you learn from this example, this experiment? He said that all the big things in life, this is what really matter to you. Yani the stones, the stones are the big things in life, such as your family, your deen, your religion. We can apply this. Your relationship with Allah, with the Quran, with the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, with your friends, with society, with your health. These are big things in life. And then come the small things in life, the pebbles, right? Such as your house, your car, your extra, pair of pants or clothes, or your iPhone, or this and that. So these are extra things in life. If we focus on the small things, then we won't have time to put in the big things in our time, in our lives. If we start off with the sand, would you be able to fill in the jar
Our
with
whole
stones?
jar with only sand, yeah.
But you know
and
what-
that's what happened to the youth people. You find that I don't have time. When you look at his day, you find the day full of TV, going out, and,
Yeah.
I don't have time to work. Yeah, to
Well, it's
so
not that, is it? I mean,
The lesson is to tackle the big things first,
Yeah, sure.
and then to go to the thing which is second.
Well, that's the thing. Are we even
I agree.
prioritizing right? I mean, are we putting Islam? Are we putting our 5 daily prayers? Are we putting that first? Then our cars, our living. Is that coming second? I mean, what's the priority here?
Priority number one is Islam.
Are we
No
doing
doubt
that,
about that? This is
I mean,
this,
this is the
unfortunate
problem.
thing about our ummah nowadays, because we tend to prioritize the dunya more than our akhirah.
Because I know some people, they would say, a lot of people in the West, a lot of brothers in the West, they say, I can't pray because of work. I don't have time at work.
Yeah.
If there's a will,
Where's
there's
the
a way.
priority?
Seriously, if you're at work and if you have work during salah time, there is definitely a way where you can arrange something.
And if you
And it's
can't,
only 2-3 minutes. People go to the bathroom for more than 2-3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, right? So if you have that intention and that sincerity, and you follow up
Well,
with
and
your
It will
manager,
always depend on the value. If you are frank with yourself, again, we will come to be for
Frank
being
means
frank.
honest.
Yeah,
Okay.
honest with yourself. You have to say the truth to yourself. And it is not that big problem. Knowing the problem is not that big. you have just, if Islam is your not first priority, just don't pretend. Say it is, and on that time we will know that this is something that need improvement. To make Islam your first priority. It's better than pretending that do you love God? Sure. Do you want to work for Islam? Do for it? Yeah, definitely, no doubt.
Easier
Okay.
said than done.
Yeah, you are doing this? No. So you are pretending. It's better than pretending. So, no, it is not. Actually, I care about my family more than Islam. Okay, now we will work on your spiritual part, that you need to know more about Islam and to understand. Then it will be better for you than pretending. When you do so, when you will put your time, you will put it according to the real values. Because a lot when we do some exercises about values, and in psychological tests for people, they say in the beginning when we talk to them, for example, this is a very popular exercise. We tell to people, let's imagine yourself in a boat.
No.
But before it we ask them, what's your most important value? They say, God. Okay. The second, Islam. The third, the Prophet. They put it like this. Then work, or family before work. Then title, money. And they start to put it. Okay, now get a paper, and I told this to people, you can do it. Get a paper, and imagine that there is a sea, and there is a boat. And this boat, you have to put persons inside this boat, and name everyone with the name of your values. For example, this person is love. This person is work.
Right.
This person is Islam. This person is money. This person is whatever. And call at least 10 values. And now imagine yourself inside this boat, and this boat is going to sink if you didn't kill one of the persons.
Yeah, kick off the boat.
Kick off out of the boat to keep yourself alive. And then see from these 10 values, which is the first one you want to kick off. Sometimes they say, okay, I'll kick money. Money, what will do in the sea? Okay, kick money outside. Then, I will kick the job. The job is nothing if I don't have values and this stuff.
With the money you can get a repairman.
Yeah, for example.
So I might not kick off money first.
Yeah, some people will not do so. Some people will kick family. Some people will kick friends. Some people will kick TV if it is a value for him. Just put values. Some people will kick love. And some people will kick Islam. Okay. But at the end you will get a list. Started by number 1 and end with number 10.
Right.
Be sure that number 10 is the most real value that you have. The person that you are going to keep till the end.
Yeah.
You will never kick off. This person is your first priority. Be frank if it is your wife, your kids, your family at home. You love, as a love meaning as a value, your Islam. This is the most thing that you want to keep. Then you will know the prioritizing of your values according to you. So, but I want to say, actually most of the people, they don't have the same value that they said in the beginning. Everyone Islam, you can find about 10 values about Islam only, or 5 values about Islam, and 5 values about life. But when they put it on papers like this, with a very frank, pure, honest assessment, no. Maybe life comes before Islam.
Adam, what would you kick off the boat first?
What would I kick off of the boat first? That would take some consideration, but I can tell you that I would definitely keep Islam on the boat.
Yeah.
Inshallah.
Inshallah, that's what we want to hear from everyone.
Yeah, I hope.
That Islam is the top priority.
Yeah, and I hope people that do so, because this is the first step for your time management. Your values. Know your value to know if you are doing your time according to the values or not. If your value is Islam, what you are doing for Islam? I'm doing nothing, so it is not a value. If your value is love, what you did for love? Do you spread love between people? Do you show them that love is a part of Islam and that stuff? If your value is family, what you are doing? I'm working 24/7. Really? I'm working for them. You are working for money. Be frank. If you are working for them, you have to give them what they need, again, not what they want. These episodes are connected. Do what they need, not what they want, according to your perception.
I mean, that brings us to another issue we brought up in some of our other episodes about your intention. I mean, yeah, if you're working, so make the intention, to feed your family. You know what I mean? So you can get rewarded for it. You know, so behind everything you do, even in time management, if you're going to want to manage your time, have the intention that you're managing your time, you know, to have more time for ibadah, for example. You know, you want to manage your time so you can get, you know, more time reading Quran during the day. So it's we should always correct our intention, because the niyyah is very, very important.
No matter how many things we have to do in life, if managed well, if the time is managed well, we can always have room for these important things in life, such as spending time with our family, with our kids, reading Quran. How many of us weeks go by and we don't even open the Quran, we don't look at the Quran? You know, there was one Muslim leader in the history of Islam. He wouldn't go to sleep unless he would open the Quran and just look at the page of the Quran. Yani he was the leader of the Muslim Ummah. He's, you know, comparing his schedule with our schedule, yet he had time just to open it. Yes, maybe I didn't have time to read it, but I just want to look at the book of Allah before I go to sleep. I don't want to end my day without looking at the words of Allah.
SubhanAllah, if we all just truly analysed our time, and you know, I'm sure some of us will find at least minimum 10, 15, 20 minutes of our day which we're doing nothing, completely wasting it. So we should use it, utilise it to you know, read Quran and get closer to Allah. Inshallah, we'll be back with more right after this break.
I've been asked today to talk about the Quran and the modern world.
The religion that is acceptable to Almighty Creator is Islam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.
The more you know about him, the more you realize how you want to be like him.
For every messenger, a prophet that Allah has sent, Allah gave him one dua.
Allah sent prophets after prophet, messenger after messenger, to remind everyone, don't deny the Creator.
La ilaha illallah.
Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'een. Thee alone we worship, and Thee alone we seek help.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.
Never on this planet walked such a person as Muhammad sallallahu alaihi
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome back to Life Choices. Just before the break, we were saying that, you know, many of us do have a lot of spare time, maybe not a lot of spare time, but we do have some spare time, maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes, which we could use to, you know, read the Quran or make dhikr to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, what other ways could we?
Actually, we can now, we were talking about prioritizing your values. After prioritizing these values, you can prioritize your time according to the day. So, what I need is, we have a very good theory called time matrix. Time matrix, for one of the Western psychologists, his name is Stephen Covey. He talked about it in prioritizing your stuff according to the urgent and to the importance. If it is urgent from time, for the time, and important as a value.
Okay.
Which will connect what I talked about values and what I talked about being important according to the time. So all what we need is to draw a schedule. This schedule will have in the upper titles, urgent and not urgent. What is thing is really urgent on time, and what the things not urgent, I can delay it. Okay? And on the left hand, on the left column of the box of comparison or of this matrix, I can put important and not important. So I have urgent, not urgent, important and not important.
So urgent relative to time,
yeah,
and important according to the value of the task.
Exactly.
Okay. So for example, we can place Fajr Salah as urgent.
Yeah, we will have it now on the first. We have now 4 boxes. Which boxes? Something will be important and urgent, and this is the first box.
Okay.
The second thing is not urgent but important.
Okay.
The third thing is urgent but not important.
Yes, yes.
And the fourth is not urgent, not important. Okay, we need examples. What do you think about what is urgent and important? Urgent on time. I'm talking about time.
Well, I mean, if Fajr Salah is, you know, if depending on what time it is, it becomes urgent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if it is not in the
Fajr's
beginning.
at 5 a.m. and ends at say 6:30 a.m. and you wake up at 6 a.m. Fajr becomes urgent now.
Exactly. So
you've only got half an hour to pray it.
I agree with you.
Let's say you have homework assignments. Let's say you have reading to do and to get done. This is very urgent and it's important.
If it is urgent,
right?
There is time or deadline for you to do so.
Deadline.
It will be important. Crisis.
Perhaps paying bills.
Yeah.
If you have to pay the bill by this
all the
certain
crisis
time.
is urgent and important.
Being
also,
happy
by the way.
is urgent for me, at least.
We have a brother calling us up, Brother Islam from Egypt. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you, Brother Islam?
I am doing fine, alhamdulillah. How are you, brother?
Alhamdulillah, we're all fine. Thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
That's right. We're talking about time management and ways to better utilize your time. What could you share with us on this point?
Thank you very much for the question. Time management is very important to the Muslim and the Muslimah, because time management is a way that you execute your actions to serve Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. When you are working, you are thinking of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. When you are praying, you are devoting your time to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Time management starts with identifying what's important, and then the next what is less important, and so on and so forth. Let me give an example. When you are praying, you are, first of all, your first importance is to pray the Fard, and then your second part is to think of the Sunnah. The question is, what are the methods that you are using to identify the top priority and then the second and third and fourth? Those items are very important for you to manage and move forward in your life. Because sometimes you have your ideas right, you think in the right way, however you fail in categorizing your priorities. And unfortunately, when a lot of Muslims males and females fall in this trap, they think they are devoting their life in the right way to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. While they are having the right intention, however, their ability to manage their time are not reflecting that. So the bottom line is you need to focus on to get your priorities right from the beginning. What is your purpose of living in this life? Then you ask your second question, how Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala is using you to fulfill His ibadah, to fulfill your role in life. And then you divide your time based on these two questions.
MashaAllah, yeah. That's very good tips there, brother. Thank you so much for calling in.
You're welcome. Thank you very much, brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, it's true. It's all about prioritizing your time according to the values.
Yeah.
You have a value, your value is God, your value is Islam, so you will put it as on the first level of your time management or in your list. If it is not, so be frank on yourself. Don't put it the first, but work on it to be the first.
But I definitely think what he's saying is true, that we have to prioritize. And if Islam is what is first on our list, then we need to do the small things that, make us have good Islam, make us,
better Muslims.
Act in obedience to Allah.
Walk the talk. You have to walk the talk. Again, so according to what he said, if we considered all what he said, Islam is important. But Islam for our time matrix is will be in points, not Islam in whole, because this is identifying the time according to the case, to the situation. So as you said, if we are talking about Islam, so we are talking about Fajr. If Fajr is going to have its deadline, you will not reach Fajr, so it's urgent and important, so you have to put it in your first box in prioritizing. So the second box is something that is not urgent, but it is important. Do you have examples for this? It is not urgent on time. I don't have to do it right now, but it's important.
For example, if you have a paper that you have to do, but it's, for example, a couple of weeks from now, but you have an exam the next day, or if you have exam coming the end of the week, so it's important for you to study for the exam and not just spend all your time on the paper, which is secondary in this case.
Yeah.
So the paper's important in that case, but not urgent.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you have the
Right.
exam coming up.
Take care of what you need to get done first.
Hmm.
What is time sensitive?
I think planning is the same. Planning is not always urgent on time. You plan always for something in the future. But we cannot say that planning is not important.
Right.
Planning is really important. But you don't have to do it now. Exercises.
No.
Exercises, maybe I can do it through the day, at the
Right.
end of the day. I don't have to do it in the beginning if it is not urgent.
Or a lot of times us nowadays with technology, checking our emails
true.
like every other, I don't even know.
Facebook, sometimes.
Always,
yeah.
you know,
Every
looking at
second.
our updates and
You know,
so on
I'm
and
very
so
guilty
forth.
of that as well. Like I have to check my email
Looking at our tweets.
every 5-10 minutes. You know, I want to see if I've got a new email.
This is
But-
something which wastes our
Mm.
time.
Yeah, very
If we, for example, and our viewers can also really benefit from this, set like time slots where we have for checking email and checking updates
Right.
and tweets and stuff like that. That way we get to do more, but in less time. Instead of checking every other, every 10 minutes, every 15 minutes, and wasting time and then posting and stuff like that.
Even when it comes to emails, I mean, something so simple that you could do, which will help you better manage your time during the day when checking your emails, because some of us get like 100 emails a day
Yeah.
because you subscribe to forums and all
Yeah.
these things, is to categorize your email, your inbox. So to have, the things that, are commercial related, emails that you're getting from businesses.
Yeah.
Say you bought a new Apple iPhone.
To be
and
able
it's
to
just-
go directly to the point that you want.
well, so you
without
can
putting
see
something
you can see the categories that you have,
Yeah.
and you can
Filter out what's important
Exactly
and what you
right.
need to see. 'Cause
Mm.
sometimes maybe you might have an important email coming to you.
Yeah.
So that way you don't want to mix that up with some promotion or some advertisement from some.
I think we can all agree that we need to put first things first, and it's funny because I used to be one that wouldn't really listen to my dad, especially. He always tell me, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. And now we're talking about it now, and I really see, like, it's so true. If we have a plan to our life and we do our best to stick to it, then our life will probably run smoother and more efficiently.
Definitely.
Yeah, I would tell my kids that anyway you will fail.
Mhm.
Don't need to plan. I'm motivating them, by killing them. The third box that we have is
that's that advice. No one listen to that at home, please.
okay. The third box that we have
Pressure,
which is
not stress.
the thing is not, which is urgent but not important. Like what? Phone calls, visitors, especially in Arab countries. Visitors are always something
Very
surprise
spontaneous,
you.
very spontaneous. They just show up out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
We have that all over the world too.
Yeah. This is thing that is not important, phone calls, but sometimes it's urgent. Because, when you focus on it, you will feel like it's about how it means to the day. You have to look for this urgent part as, this important part for your day. It is important in my to-do list or on my schedule, but according to the other things, I would put it. If I have something which is really urgent, as we said before, I have to put it before them. But if I cannot delay it, or maybe I have 2 minutes free. So it will be according to the person I'm going to call. If he's somehow talkative, and I know this, if he is your father, maybe, and you know that your father maybe need you for 5 minutes, and you have only 2 minutes, so delay it till you get the 5 minutes.
I think another way, Brother Kareem, is to multitask, but not overburdening yourself. such as-
Multitasking is impossible, right? It's impossible to do 2 tasks at once.
Well, I mean, for example, I don't really recommend.
For men, yes, but for women, no.
I don't.
No, for anyone.
No.
Scientists have proven it's impossible to
No,
do
what
2
I mean,
things at
you can
once.
correct me if I'm wrong. Like, for example, if I'm walking to the masjid and it's a 2-3 minute walk, if I need to make a phone call, if someone called me and I need to
Exactly.
return my call, I'll walk and I'll talk.
Yeah, exactly.
I meant in that way. So you don't have to spend another 5 minutes on your time to work.
But
when you
Well,
go
I mean,
home.
I'm sure. Like what I'm saying is to
Yeah.
focus on one thing at a time is important. To utilize your time so that's what you're focusing on at this time.
What you said is important according to on which level. What you said, I agree with it. But we have two points here, because it's very pure psychology and important to the task we talk about. Always what I do has levels. Like to go to the masjid, I will walk to the masjid. This time of walking, I'm implementing the task of going to the masjid, but at the same time I can do something else because the task I'm doing doesn't need effort.
For example, you're on your way to school, you're sitting in the bus. Instead of just looking around and stuff and just looking at what people are doing, review your notes. You can read your article, study a book, listen to an audio lecture.
There you go.
Or something.
So in fact, you can actually multitask on the bus, ride the bus, and study at the same time. Also, watch Huda TV while you're eating or drinking.
Yeah, sure. This
on
is a very
the topic of time management,
it's actually the combination of switching back and forth between the two tasks. It's your ability to do
on the
that.
topic of time management,
This is science.
We have run out of time, so unfortunately we're going to have to leave it here. Brothers, thank you so much for everything today, and thank you for watching another episode of Life Choices. Until next week, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Choices, chances, dreams and goals. Many mixed emotions in my heart and soul. For some I made a plan and did the best I can. If God wills, things can happen. After all, I'm just a man. Choices, chances, dreams and goals. Many mixed emotions in my heart and soul. For some I made a plan and did the best I can. If God wills, things can happen. After all, I'm just a man.